Wednesday, for it's Weed Wednesday. Morning! It's me, Becca, your crippled crazy cannabis coffee chick, partnered up with the Cannabis Caucus to educate you on cannabis, the good and the bad. Today, the subject is cannabis and schizophrenia. I have read so many freaking articles on this that it just literally made my head spin. Because there are some studies that claim, yes, cannabis does cause schizophrenia and other psychiatric illnesses and disorders. And then there are some that say that schizophrenia isn't even a thing. That one just went out the fucking window because, yes, it is. And then there's another one that says that schizophrenia is just a symptom of over 200 different medical illnesses. With all of that, I was like, my brain just went fried. So then I found this article published in WebMD. It was published on October 20th of 2020. Yeah. It was written by Shauna Seed, and it was medically reviewed and approved by a Smitha Bendari. I hope I pronounced that right. If I didn't, I'm really sorry. Okay, so the article is entitled Schizophrenia Marijuana, Trigger or Treatment, which was kind of where my head was at after doing all the research. So I couldn't have said it better myself. This article just, yeah, it made sense. I'll give you that. It made a lot of sense to me and my brain functions. Okay, so I'm just going to read this article and then I'll give you my thoughts on it, and hopefully you can give me yours in the comments down below. Let's have a discussion about this. So, marijuana and schizophrenia, trigger or treatment. First, we need to know what schizophrenia is. Schizophrenia is a rare but serious mental illness that impairs the way you think, make decisions, and handle emotions. There's no single cause or condition. It's a complicated disease that involves many factors, including genetics, viruses or poor nutrition, and issues with key brain chemicals can make you more likely to get the disease. Scientists also continuing to study the role of drug use, including marijuana in schizophrenia. One analysis of several studies found that marijuana, also called cannabis, is one of the most commonly abused substances among humans with schizophrenia. Young people with the condition in particular may abuse it more often than alcohol. Researchers have puzzled over what that link means. Some say that people with schizophrenia may be more likely to use the drug because they're looking for ways to ease their symptoms. But it's unlikely that self-medication alone can explain the relationship between marijuana use and schizophrenia. One of the things that marijuana and schizophrenia have in common is psychosis. It isn't a mental illness, rather it's a symptom. When you have psychosis, your thoughts are disrupted in a way that makes it hard for you to tell what is real and what is not. You might see or hear things that aren't there, or You might have strange thoughts that won't go away. Psychosis is a symptom of schizophrenia. Studies have found that when you're high on marijuana, you can have psychotic symptoms. The effects go away as the high wears off. Scientists think the main ingredient in marijuana that causes psychotic symptoms is THC, or delta 9 tetrahydrocannabinol. The schizophrenia connection. The link between marijuana and psychosis goes beyond a short-lived high. If you already have schizophrenia and use the drug, your symptoms may get worse. You may have more psychotic episodes and spend more time in the hospital. Researchers also have found that if you carry certain types of specific genes that affect the brain chemistry, marijuana can raise the chance you'll have schizophrenia. One of those genes is called AKT1. The other one is called COMT. Cannabis may cause schizophrenic symptoms to start earlier in life too. Typically, men show signs of the disorder in their late teens to early 20s, and women in their late 20s to early 30s. Using marijuana may make symptoms show up as much as 3 years earlier. The age at which you start using marijuana also might make a difference. Earlier use, especially during the teen years, may mean a greater chance of having schizophrenia, perhaps because your brain is still developing during this time. If you have a parent or sibling with schizophrenia, you also have a higher chance of getting the disease. Using cannabis can make your odds even worse, taking them from 1 in 10 to 1 in 5. Therapeutic effect? Although the cannabis ingredient THC is thought to trigger psychosis, another component, cannabinol, CBD, seems to fight it. In one study, people with schizophrenia who were treated with CBD saw their symptoms improve and had fewer side effects than those who took traditional antipsychotic medications. It's important to note, though, that these people were treated in medical product and supervised clinical settings. It's another reason I like this article. It actually puts that in there. These are just clinical studies. They are not people that are out in the real world dealing with this. Okay? They're stuck in a hospital doing their studies. I mean, and like I said, you get really good information on those studies. But you also need to take into consideration that people out in the real world will act differently than people in the hospital. Because, well, for one, they actually are, like, have their doses controlled, for one. They're smoking a lot more when they're not in the hospital, let's be honest, okay? So, that's what I was trying to say. That's not the same thing as smoking weed on your own at home. So, what is the best advice? For people with schizophrenia, this is one of those where just because you can doesn't mean you should. People with schizophrenia or who are subject to schizophrenia, say you have family members that are, be careful. You know, you shouldn't use cannabis. You shouldn't use something with THC in it. And that's okay. I've always said, cannabis is not for everyone. teens should be, teens, you know, teens shouldn't smoke or drink or any of that stuff, but come on. Let's be honest and let's be realistic. Teenagers are curious. That's why I keep mine locked up in my safe. I'm worried about the little ones as much as I am about my teenagers. But, yeah, it's a joke. I'm kidding. Not the locking it up part, but... Okay, so, yeah. If you have schizophrenia, don't use THC cannabis. Not a good idea. If you have a history of schizophrenia or other psychotic illnesses, it's probably a good thing to avoid cannabis. However, I have an issue with them saying that because some mental illnesses are helped by THC. So I have a really hard problem with that particular statement. People who have schizophrenia in their family should be very careful and probably shouldn't use high quantities or as often of THC. So, and of course, you know, there's studies that say CBD is good. So, you know, you might not be able to use the marijuana, but maybe you can use the hemp, you know, and maybe not. It's all a personal thing and how your body reacts to it personally. That just goes for everybody. And that's why they have so many strains. You know, because some strains work better for some people that don't work for other people. But yeah, so THC can cause schizophrenic episodes to be worse. It can cause their symptoms to be worse, but it does not mean that cannabis causes schizophrenia. It might bring out those symptoms sooner, but it's not the cause. I love y'all. Please do the likey, subscribey, commenty stuff down below. Let's have a discussion about this. It'll be fun. Just be nice, okay? Because if you're rude, I'm just gonna block you. I'm not even, no. So, be nice. Let's have an awesome discussion down below about this, because it'll be fun. And, yeah, ring the bell so you know when I post. I try to post every Wednesday. So yeah, do the likey, subscribey stuff. I already said that. And share the channel so we can help save the planet, save the people.